Google admits to censorship pushed by Biden administration and invites back banned users. I mean, we knew, we knew firsthand that Google was censoring people, like on YouTube and everywhere else. They were also fudging search results in relation to COVID. Right, like that's what happened. Like we knew it was happening. We pointed out it was happening. Everybody told us to shut up, and then Google's came out and admitted it. I mean, it's nice that they eventually admitted it all these years later, but like we already knew. We already knew that's what they were doing. Those who saw their YouTube videos and other content banned during COVID 19 and the 2020 election, or was the election fraud as well, sorry, were invited back to the platform Tuesday in an astonishing mea culpa from the company that blamed their censorship on Biden administration pressure tactics. Well, see, that's the funny thing. Oh, were you banned? This was just private companies doing what they want. Well, apparently not. The government is pressuring them secretly behind the scenes. Thereby, which basically means that if this is what has happened, then the Biden administration violated the First Amendment. The Biden administration violated the First Amendment if that is the case. Alphabet Inc., the company that operates Google and YouTube, wrote in a letter Tuesday to Congress that they were forced into removing content by Mr. Biden and his senior aides. It is unacceptable and wrong when any government, including the Biden administration, attempts to dictate how the company moderates content. Alphabet's lawyers wrote to House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan. I mean, you could have just turned around and went, no. I love how I love how free speech is now coming back into fashion. It's coming right back into fashion now, and that's when the companies like Jack did it when he tried to do his little redemption arc after he sold Twitter. Wait, what was happening at my company? I had no idea. Oh no, shut up. Shut up. You knew fine well what was happening. Like Zuck tried to do the same thing. I've always been down for free speech actually. Beep 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 no. I'm sorry, no. You censored everybody because you were pressured by the government. It's the literal definition of being anti-free speech. Free speech is so that the government can't come in and censor your speech, right? If a government is pressuring a private company to censor people's speech, then no, that's not free speech, right? You could have been a big boy and turned around and told the government to fuck off. That's what you should have done, but you didn't do that because you're pussies. But anyway, and the company has consistently fought against those efforts on First Amendment grounds. No, you have not. No, you have not. Company officials acknowledged that they had gone too far in banning content related to the COVID-19 pandemic and the 2020 presidential election results. Or is it because a lot of the stuff that was being said about COVID, now that we've got a few years of clarity and hindsight, all turned out to be fucking true? It all turned out to be true, didn't it? And then it takes us back to that old proverb. What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth? About 6 months. But anyway, their censorship came mostly in response to senior Biden administration officials who repeatedly pressured them to take down content even though the material did not violate the company's policies. Company officials said Biden administration aides and President Biden created a political atmosphere that sought to influence the actions of platforms based on their concerns regarding misinformation. Google also admitted to relying on health authorities when it initiated policies kept in place through 2024 that banned certain discussions of COVID-19 policies and various treatments for the virus. Now, the fact is if you want to like one thing that I don't think they should have, but one thing I would understand people wanting to ban is people saying, "Oh, do you know if you take this, it gets rid of COVID and everything?" Like, okay, health advice that may cause someone harm, all right. Like, I can understand why. I still don't think they should have, but I can understand why. However, criticizing the COVID-19 policies like they're all 6 feet apart, only two households, or like fucking 2 weeks to slow the spread, all that crap, which turned out to be a complete fucking farce. The fact that face masks did not work, everybody thought they were impervious, they're not. Unless you're out there in a little hazmat suit, and it turns out even hazmats aren't 100% proof. That was surprising. Right, it was all of that stuff that people wanted to criticize, and you banned them anyway. Right, and it's also the fact is that while everybody was locked up in their homes and you weren't allowed to go to the hospital and hold your grandmother's hand as she passed away, they were all in fucking Downing Street having parties and doing cocaine. It was a fucking joke. Those actions, Alphabet officials said in a letter to Mr. Jordan from their law firm, were well intentioned. But they added, the company recognises it should never come at the expense of public debate on these important issues. Alphabet's admission followed Mr. Jordan's year-long investigation into online censorship practices that appeared to target conservative viewpoints, because in the modern day, the conservatives are the ones that are anti-government. And the left are the ones that are like preaching to abolish human rights, except for their own chosen specific groups, you know, a la Jim Crow, and also propping up Big Pharma. How the times have changed. The Ohio Republican issued a round of subpoenas seeking information from social media giants regarding their censorship of right-leaning voices. YouTube started banning users shortly after the contentious 2020 presidential election. In December of 2020, YouTube announced it had terminated more than 8,000 channels and thousands of harmful and misleading videos related to the 2020 election, including content that alleged widespread fraud or errors had skewed the election results. Company officials said in the same announcement that third-party fact-check information panels were triggered more than 200,000 times on election-related content related to voting machine integrity and state recounts. Google was accused of demonetizing conservative media publisher The Federalist in 2020, along with the conservative website Zero Hedge, among others. And it wasn't just Google. Zero Hedge was also banned from Twitter during that period as well. Google owes us all damages for what their censorship cost us, Federalist CEO and co-founder Sean Davies said Tuesday. A quick "we're sorry now that they're in trouble" isn't going to cut it. Their censorship cost us millions. And yeah, that's the point, and that's what the way a lot of these companies try and target you. They target your money. Basically, a lot of things is I like to be a spicy boy. I'm fond of the odd spicy meme now and again, but I need to be very, very careful, because after the whole Nazi pig fiasco, this is the only job that I can do. This is the only... I am not going to be able to get a regular wagey job again. Nobody's going to hire me because of the controversy surrounding myself. So this is the only thing that I can do, so I do need to toe the line a lot. Which is why there's a lot of things that I can't talk about, and I usually just give little looks at the camera. Interpret those looks however way you will. That's not my problem, and it won't hold up in court. But anyway, content bans snared prominent users, among them Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Senator Rand Paul, Kentucky Republican. In August 2021, YouTube suspended Mr. Paul for a week after he appeared in a video discussing two peer-reviewed studies that found cloth masks do not prevent the spread of viruses. The company had instituted a 3 strikes policy against users who repeatedly posted prohibited content. Mr. Paul, who pushed back against the COVID-19 policies, was on his second strike, resulting in the week-long ban. In June 2023, YouTube removed a video of popular podcast host Jordan Peterson interviewing Mr. Kennedy, who was then a presidential candidate. YouTube representatives said at the time that they removed the video for violating YouTube's general vaccine misinformation policy, which prohibits content that alleges that vaccines cause chronic side effects outside of rare side effects that are recognized by health authorities. Yeah, they're not that rare. They're not that rare. Right, you're having a lot of people. Heart attacks have spiked, and they tried to go, "Oh, it's climate change. It's climate change. Help! I'm having a climate change." Like, yeah, no, it's not climate change. It's the fact is climate change doesn't cause weird fucking blood clots in your body. And one example, okay, anecdotal, I completely understand. My dad, firefighter, played rugby his entire life. One of the fittest guys that I know. Gets the clot shot, and within a year, my dad had a stroke. My dad's a healthy guy. My dad was a healthy guy, and the stroke fucked him up. He's aged like 10 years. He's still not got all of his mobility back. Very, very fortunately, we got it just in time, and we had a neighbour who was a nurse, and she crushed up aspirin and put it into water and gave it to him, and that's probably what saved him. But still, I just find it very weird that lots of very, very healthy people were just dropping in the middle of football matches. Remember that little funny period when everyone's bodies were adjusting to the vaccines and you were getting young guys in their 20s and stuff having heart attacks on the football pitches? That was very weird. That's not something that happened very often before. But anyway, Mr. Bongino was permanently banned from YouTube in January 2022 after posting 2 videos that cast doubt on mask wearing to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Alphabet officials said in the letter to Mr. Jordan that they will offer those banned from YouTube due to COVID-19 or election-related content an opportunity to rejoin the platform, which many of them probably won't do because YouTube is obviously not a very safe place for them to rely on for income. Basically, if you're in the sphere, you're going to go for the places where your income's safe. Am I going to be banned randomly for some random flippant comment? No. However, if you really want to do that, you can just be left wing and go to Twitch. Like, as long as you're left wing on Twitch, you can call for the murder of people and shit like that, and they'll fucking, yeah, they'll promote you, they'll put you on the front page. Twitch don't give a fuck. Twitch genuinely don't fucking care, as long as you're left wing. The Biden administration has been under intense criticism over its tactics to pressure social media platforms to remove content. In addition to Alphabet, Biden aides bore down on Facebook and Twitter, now X, to force the companies to censor social media posts related to the election and the COVID-19 pandemic, according to emails uncovered by Mr. Jordan. The effort began almost as soon as Mr. Biden entered the White House, how about that, with a January 23, 2021 email from Clark Humphrey, then the digital director for the administration's COVID-19 response team. Mr. Humphrey emailed Twitter officials at 1 a.m. on Mr. Biden's third day in office and asked them to remove a tweet posted a day earlier by Mr. Kennedy that suggested the death of Hank Aaron, 86, may have been tied to the coronavirus vaccine. Aides threatened the social media giants with unspecified options if the platform did not comply with their censorship demands. How about that? So basically, the Biden administration violated the First Amendment. They violated the First Amendment. They used state power to pressure someone into removing speech that they didn't want to remove. That should be a much bigger deal. That should be a much, much bigger deal. The Biden administration violated the Constitution multiple times throughout the entire time it was in the White House. They were using pressure on private individuals and companies to censor speech. That should be considered a much bigger deal. Any now dismissed lawsuit filed by 2 states against the Biden administration, US District Judge Terry A. Doughty called their actions arguably the most massive attack against free speech in United States history. Is that the end of the... And that is the end of the article. But yeah, this is something that we just knew. We knew that Google were doing this, right? We kind of suspected that the government was behind it, but we knew for a fact that Google was doing this. Now Google's went, oh no, oopsie, oh no, the consequences of my actions, like, that's the thing is, see a lot of the fucked up stuff that's happening now, see, like, it might be 20 years, it might be 30 years down the line, but, like, people eventually come knocking. Like, for example, a lot of fucked up shit happened in Northern Ireland, done by the British forces and the SAS and all that, and what's happened is BBC Panorama come around, and a lot of that, basically, those chickens are coming home to roost, right? And see what's happening, and there's other things that I'll call it out on that it's going to happen with. The response to COVID, it might be 20 years, 30 years from now, but people are going to be in serious trouble for that. It's going to take time, but there's going to be a reckoning for that one day. Trans and kids, there's going to be a huge reckoning for that one day. January 6th, there's going to be a big reckoning for that one day over certain things that happen as well. I also think there's going to be a reckoning for universities as well. Basically, these are things that I see happening on BBC Panorama in about 20 years from now. But still, the fact remains that Google has now came out and says that they were pressured by the Biden administration to censor the speech of private individuals in the United States, which means that the Biden administration purposefully, multiple times throughout the entire time it was in the White House, violated the Constitution over and over. And I think, never mind the Google stuff, I believe that should be treated as a much bigger deal.